Welcome back to Colorado Sports Connection. We're talking with former Denver Broncos Steve Foley, and we're going to go back to Super Bowl 12. Here it is. Louisiana boy goes back home.
Well, we happened to go to the Super Bowl was in New Orleans. We played the Dallas Cowboys, and we trained at Tulane Stadium. And our trainer was helping tape everybody and everything, and his name was Bubba Porsche, who was a famous trainer, been there for 20, 30 years. And Greek was our trainer back then, Antonopoulos, who's still there. And Bubba Porsche used to call me Sorry Foley, and so that stuck with me. That's what Greek calls me to this day. But it was a tremendous time for me to actually go back. I had my old locker in the locker room, and to take guys on our team. I was just a second-year player, but I took Haven Moses, Billy Thompson, Louis Wright, Bernard Jackson, all these guys. I took them to my house for a party. And one of the funniest things that they still just die laughing at today is with 13 kids, I grew up, we had locks on our freezer. And they couldn't get over that. They were like, "You're kidding me." He said, "We grew up poor, but we didn't have locks." I said, "Well, get real, man. 13 kids. What do you expect my mom and dad to do? They'd have been eating out of house and home." So it was really some fun. And I just thought everybody grew up with locks on their freezers. So, but it was a great time. Other than that loss, we had, I think, 8 turnovers, and just we couldn't keep up with the Dallas Cowboys, giving them the ball that much. And they're, a great team. They had offense, defense, everything, and just a tremendous experience.
You know, you talk about that loss. We had Haven Moses on here about 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he talked about after the game that the Dallas people could not believe that the Bronco fans were still there cheering you guys on.
Oh, they were just nobody.
Congratulating you.
Nobody could. This is the greatest place in the world to play, and I, there's a lot of teams that have great fan bases, I'm sure, but what they did, I mean, there was 100, 200,000 people waiting for us when we got back from that game.
How many?
100 to 200,000.
Wow.
A parade. And we lost the Super Bowl. This city was in love with the Denver Broncos, and they did not care that we had lost the game. We were their team, and we were out in the community, and there was a love affair that was, I think, was unrivaled anywhere.
Now, we also talked with Jim Sacomano a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
and he had talked about when the Broncos started their orange towels, how that transpired down to Pittsburgh having the terrible towels, and he says it all started with the Broncos fan. So during your playing days, what was your relationship with the Broncos fans?
Well, I mean, it was like I said, it was so close because, I mean, we'd walk out the locker room and you walked into the fans. It wasn't like today there's roped off corridors and they take you by golf cart to your cars and stuff. We just walked out the locker rooms and the fans were there, and by the thousands waiting after games, and we'd sign autographs until you couldn't sign anymore, and do appearances all throughout. And so the fans felt like they knew you personally. They just had that, it's a visceral feeling of, man, we know these guys and these guys know us, and it was one big community. It was incredible.
Why do you think that's changed?
Well, I just think that the game's gotten so big, so it's like a production, a marketing production. Even at the games, you go there, it's marketing, production, and it's big money. It wasn't as big a money back then, but it's a much bigger product. It's almost like a concert being put on. You're not going to get near the entertainers today. You're just not going to do that. So, but back then, it was the start of a great era in Denver football.
Now, you had a great experience in Super Bowl 12, and we've got about 30 seconds here, but your last game, Super Bowl 21.
Yeah.
Talk about the difference between Super Bowl 12 and Super Bowl 21, the experience you had.
Well, of course, we thought that being a second-year player and the team that we had, I'm thinking you go to the Super Bowl every other year. But it was a long time in between, and my last game was a Super Bowl, and I thought we had a great team to be able to play them. the New York Giants, and they had a great game against us, and they had a great game plan. They were passing on rundowns, and they went away from their game plan that they had done all year, which was just run, pass on third down. They were passing on first down, and I got to hand it to them. They had a great game.
It's still an accomplishment during one's career to go to one Super Bowl, but let alone two. And one of the things I want to talk to you about when we come back, your teammates of the Orange Crush. When we come back, we'll hear more about the Orange Crush with Steve Foley right here on Colorado Sports Connection.